Okay, so we got the collection done yesterday, and now we've done some analysis. We collected 16,300. Oh, sorry, in total 16,314 food items. I don't know what that ends up working out to be. It's in the neighborhood of 7,000 to 8,000 there just yesterday, and we're looking at our models that we talked about just before the collection. And this is the interesting thing. Take a look. What do we see here, there, Mr. White?
We can see here, here's our previous data from the first 4 collections, and it seemed to fit that linear model that we talked about last time. However, when we add the extra piece of data in for our last collection, we can see this point here is not going to fit this linear model.
Nowhere near it. And actually, the predicted value that we have for the final of the end of the canned food drive is lower than what we actually have. This is 16,314 food items. Okay, so next what we're looking at, we take a look. Obviously, the linear model is no good. The quadratic model looks a little bit better. We got our data point there, and Mr. White's going to just fill us in on the model.
Again, there we looked at the quadratic model. It looked really good yesterday. Remember, we talked about the residuals being very close. We our data fitted our quadratic model very well. However, again, if we see with our 5th data point there, it's a bit more than we would expect, which means we would think the function is going to increase a bit more rapidly than the quadratic model, which is where we looked at the 3rd function, we started moving towards the exponential one.
Yeah, our exponential function that we're looking at. Okay, here it is. Take a look. It's actually below, and that's almost like what we were actually looking at and we were discussing there yesterday, is that it's somewhere between the quadratic. So it's the actual data point is above the quadratic, and it's actually below our exponential model. Okay, so we got to revise our model, but we have something really neat to talk to you guys about this actual total. You want to
well, if we look at these here, it's just a bizarre thing. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it isn't. But if we look here at the last 3 digits, we get the digits 3, 1, and 4, which, as we know, are the first 3 digits of pi. Bizarre, some might say. Coincidental, who knows?
But it's not coincidental when you look at the first 2 digits.
If we look at the first 2 digits, they're actually the first 2 digits of the golden ratio. Where the golden ratio is the value you get if you look at the Fibonacci numbers. If you divide one number by the previous number and keep going on with that sequence, you end up with the number 1.61, and it goes on and on and on. But the first 2 digits are that 1 and 6.
So it seems that math's totally embedded with what we're talking about, and we should be trusting it completely, especially for our predictions. So we've revised our models, okay? And here's a revised quadratic. We have a different relationship. Not as good as we saw yesterday, but still reasonable. All the data points fall pretty close to the line.
We're talking there, so the quadratic model, we've revised that. We've got different values for our coefficients there. It fits fairly well, but the data's a little bit off, as we can see. That is then giving us a prediction of about 31,500 items if it fits this model. Now, as we know, the more pieces of data we have, the more accurate we can make our model. So this 5th piece here will actually allow us to affect this, and again, when we get to the 6th day, we can then make a final prediction after that to try and refine that a little bit further again.
And the residuals, I don't know if you guys remember there last week, or last time, they're really, really close. They're within 50. These are kind of, bottom out. We have like one that's about 1,000 cans or food items off. So the quadratic model is not that great this time, okay? And we look at the next model, which is our exponential. Same kind of thing. We got the residuals. We got some quite large residuals now, and although it's kind of fitting this model well, it's not quite following either of those 2 models as we kind of expected.
It is. So our 5th piece of data is slightly below what the model's predicting us. So again, if we look between the two models are telling us somewhere between 31,500 and somewhere between 68,000.
I think that one's a little bit too big.
Still too high, but it's better than yesterday. We were looking up to 84,000 with the exponential model. So we're actually reducing our predicted range there.
Yeah, and that's what we expect the closer we get, obviously. Okay, let's take a look at the last 2 things. What we want to do is kind of have a really good prediction. Looking at this again, this is last year's results, and there's still opportunity for another at least 1, if not 2 days, where we're above 10,000 food items. And we really kind of are feeling that because everything's kind of following what we've seen before. And we know that there's teachers out there that are that are hoarding the cans and the items and haven't bought everything yet. And there's still some activities, right, Mrs. Cargus?
No way.
And we see that even 2 years ago when we made it over 50,000. We have something over, and this is over almost 15,000 and almost 20,000. So we're predicting for sure at least 20 to 30,000 more food items that we're going to have. And if we add that to our total right now, what we're going to be looking at is, we'll scroll that down just a little bit. We're looking at, I'm feeling 31 to 46,000 is kind of our range. I don't think we're going to quite make the 50,000, okay? But we're still going to be we're going to be there. The model's telling us 32 to 68. I refine it a little bit. Where do you think it's going there, Mr. White?
Well, I predicted around about the 36,000 mark. I'm hoping I'm a bit under, obviously, for obvious reasons. But we're thinking around about there. Again, when we get our 6th piece of data in, it'll be interesting. Maybe this is the men who will leave everything to the last minute. They're going to bring all their cans in the last couple of days, as they do with their Christmas shopping and things like that.
Exactly.
So we will see. You know, historically, we can't always use data as a guide for past performance, but it gives us an idea of how the patterns start to develop. We've seen the last 2 years you've had 2 very good last collection days, so let's hope we get the same again. We can look to put sort of 15, 20,000 on top of our original number. So we're looking towards that 36, 40,000 sort of number of cans.
Okay, so St. Mary's, let's go. This is still great. Every single can counts, and we're looking for the next 2 collection days.